Hi, everyone. It's my great pleasure to introduce my dear friend, David Baxter. David is the one who brought me to EPI in the first place. David Baxter, who's a 2022 alum of EPI, is an award-winning speaker and philanthropist, as well as the founder and CEO of Motivational Dreamers. He's also the co-founder and chairman of the Tears organization and a proud member of Forbes Black. David holds diplomas from Emerson College in Media Literature and Culture, as well as from Stratford University in Business Management. Okay, please welcome David Baxter.
I once read, education in the hands of an individual can be used to make a bomb or defuse one. But the individual who has no education loses the power of choice altogether. Now, what does that mean? That means that education is one of the most powerful tools that one can have, because it gives you something invaluable: choice, the freedom and ability to choose your own future. But what happens when that same education is denied to someone? That individual loses that power altogether. And that's not by accident, because there are those who know the power of education. And because they know the power of education, they have worked tirelessly to deny it to certain demographics of people. Why? Because an uneducated population is easier to control. And a society dependent upon ignorance is easier to manipulate. Let me be clear about one thing. If you lack certain credentials in the way this system is designed, you will be locked out of mainstream America forever. And so this restriction on education is not some simple oversight. I would argue it's a strategy, a system to preserve power for the few and not the many. This is why programs like Emerson College's EPI is so important, because EPI is not just about giving college and prison or handing out degrees. If that's what you thought, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There's something much more deeper happening here. EPI is about fighting back against a system that's designed to withhold one of the most single greatest tools of transformation: education. And I'm living proof of when that system tries but fails, and programs like EPI come in to reclaim what was once stolen. Why do I say stolen? Because I could sit here and tell you about how my upbringing was so hard, or how I grew up in what was then the murder and crime capital of America, or how by the age of 16, I lost most of my childhood friends to senseless violence, or how at the tender age of 14, I watched my best friend get slaughtered right in front of my eyes, gunned down like his life meant nothing, or how I've been to way more funerals than weddings, burials than graduations, or how I was raised without a father in a single-parent household. I can tell you all of those things, and they would be 100% true. And I can make that excuse. I can blame those things and many other factors on why I eventually went to prison for 19 years. Or I could take accountability and tell you the truth, that at some point, you are no longer the product of your environment, you are the product of your choices. Okay, Mac, I don't think they heard me, Mac, so I'm gonna say it again. At some point in your life, you are no longer the product of your environment, you are the product of your choices.
Say that.
Because here's something that may surprise you. I'd be lying if I stood here and said that I didn't have opportunities to take my life down a different path, because I did. You see, I come from a family of higher learners. My mother generation, they set the tone. So despite everything I just told you, I had a mother who refused to let education be stolen from us without a fight. You see, my mother raised 4 kids in the projects on her own. And despite having to worry about losing her kids every waking moment of her life, she still managed to maintain a full-time career. Go to school a full-time student, get a BA, then go on and get 2 masters. Come on, talk to me. What did she do? She set the standard. My mother is my first example of what true work ethic and resilience look like. And even when the streets had a hold on me, I took those values with me. And since I was a young kid, I've always been a lover of learning because I was raised in a learning environment. And those opportunities that generation gave for us, here's something else you might find surprising. Before my incarceration, I had the privilege and honor to attend not 1, but 2 universities. My first university I went to close to 2 years and I quit because I was too busy wanting to run the streets. Despite that, I was given another opportunity to attend one of the most elite universities we have. And it was there during my first year that my lifestyle and the choices I was making finally caught up to me. And I was arrested for running a multi-state drug operation. And I was given 55 years, of which 19 I did. So why do I say stolen? Because in that moment, when I was sentenced, not only my freedom, but my education was stolen from me. My opportunity to grow, to build a future, was stolen from me. Like that. And I went many years in prison thinking that my chance for a formal education was gone. And I started to tell myself what society told me and so many others in my situation, that you're far too gone, that it's too late, your future's gone, and you're no better than the worst mistake you've made. And here's the thing, there were seasons in my life where I almost believed it. Because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, the worst prisons are not built in steel gates and bars. They're built in the mind. And for years, I was trapped in that mental prison of regret, anger, resentment, hopelessness, the list goes on. And those thoughts manifested in my actions through the form of gangbanging and getting in trouble the first half of my incarceration, until I ultimately changed everything. My perspective, my circle of association, my studying habits, and ultimately my life. I remember when they first announced that EPI was coming to MCI Concord. I remember the emotions that stared at me. I wasn't even in the program and I was emotional. Just the thought, the mere thought of being able to finish something I flunked so long ago meant that much to me. So for me, this time it was personal. So long story short, I applied to EPI, thanks to Manisha. I was admitted to the first cohort. I remember when I first got the acceptance letter to EPI. I felt something I hadn't felt in so many years. Hope. Because I knew I had that opportunity and I took it for granted. But this time I understood the value. So this time it was personal. Because I wasn't doing it just for me. I was doing it for my daughter. I was doing it for my mother. So when I sat in that classroom, I wasn't just a student. I was a man on a mission. And from start to finish, a student. And when I was done, I looked up, my degree read magna cum laude. And for me, that wasn't just a personal victory, it was a statement. Because I knew what that degree would mean to my family. And there was no moment more precious to me than the day I gave that woman the degree she so willfully deserved. Oh no, clicker problems, but degree. Willfully she deserved. So I left prison after 19 years with two things: a degree and a mission. And I got to work. And what does that work look like? It looks like a business empire dedicated to giving back to society, not only here, but across the nation. It looks like me becoming the CEO of Motivational Dreamers, a national consultant and professional speaking company. It looks like me becoming the co-founder and chairman of the TEARS organization, the philanthropic arm of my business. It looks like me becoming the owner of DKB Estate, my real estate arm of my business, operating in the South and Massachusetts. It looks like me, a young kid from Brooklyn who grew up with nothing, being admitted to one of the most prestigious groups on this earth, Forbes Black. And for those who don't know what that is not a national, that is an international network of CEOs, founders, and creators with the collective goal of economic growth and prosperity for Black men and women. Say that. And let's be clear, this didn't happen by accident. This happened because my personal self-knowledge mixed with my formal education took me from a mentality of this is all I'll ever be to I can create anything I put my mind to. And I went from sitting in the cell to being one of the most sought-after speakers on leadership in the nation. I went from being told I'd never have a future to standing on some of the biggest stages in the world, changing lives across the nation, and being in rooms with the biggest names in philanthropy, leadership, and business. Education was once stolen from me. But through EPI, through discipline, and through purpose, I took it back. So in sum, what does this all mean? It means that education is not just about knowledge. It's about liberation. It's about power. It's about ensuring you have the capability to build a future far beyond the one that was handed to you. But yet, so far too many are still being denied this power because we have a system that is still operating how it was designed to keep them locked up, and locked out away from opportunity. But I'm living proof, a walking testament, that sometimes the system doesn't have the final say. And that college behind the bar, college and prison, is not simply about handing out degrees. It's about reclaiming stolen futures. That's right. And so now I turn it back to each of you, to the students in the room. Never take your education for granted. Because what you have here is a privilege that so many others will never receive. So use it and honor it. And when you leave this campus or whatever campus you belong to, use your power, your education to make a difference. To the professors and academic leaders in the room, your work is not to just teach or give out grades. It's to change lives. And what you all are doing are giving people like me, y'all giving people the tools to rewrite their stories. How powerful is that? And for that, I honor each of you and I support you. Let's keep going. You next. To the policymakers and to the community leaders, the conversation around higher education in prison is not simply about reform. It's It's about justice. It's about the human potential. It's about ensuring that no one person is defined by his or her worst mistake. Because truthfully, higher education shouldn't be a privilege. It should be a human right.
That's right.
And it's incumbent upon each and every one of us to ensure that everyone has access, no matter where they come from, no matter what they're outbringing, no matter what society tells them about themselves. Because at the end of the day, education is the difference between being controlled or being in control. I choose to be in control. Thank you. Hold on. I got 20 minutes. How much more time I got? 22? All right. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, just give me a second. I got something special for you. This is the first time I'm doing this publicly. I used to have a problem with doing this. I had a philosophy that when you do things to be seen, you block your blessings. So this is what my 2024 look like. I don't raise money. I use this out of my pocket. My team is here. My executive assistant is here. Oh, what happened? No, I need that. That makes sense. Peter, my executive, see somewhere around here. My videographer, one of them is here. My team, Adrian, we're here. And it was this young man by his age, this young man named Miskael. He has a PhD in getting on my nerves. But one day he said something, he challenged my thinking. And he said, I think, he went biblical on me and personal. He said, intentions matter. We give scholarships throughout the whole country to underdeserved communities or whoever fits the criteria. So for the first time publicly, I want to give this partial scholarship out to this remarkable young lady. I wish I could read her essay. And my whole team, so I'm gonna need a round of applause like none other for this young lady whose future is so bright. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for the Janie Baxter Legacy Scholarship, named after my mother. For Tamara Wright. Let's go, Tamara. Adrian. Adrian, let's get that. We're gonna do that. We got the big check to go with it. She deserves it, and I just want to say thank you all for having me. It's a pleasure. I've been blessed beyond measure. There's times I've sat in the cell under the guidance of this man, Matt Cousin, that you know, times I didn't know what my future would look like. I had no idea God had such a big calling for me. And I'm just real humbled to be here. Thank you. I'm your humble servant. Peace.